I find the process so fascinating because now we're starting to see that adapted in film. So you said this, you guys started shooting this roughly around 2016. That was right around the time Lion King, Jon Favreau's Lion King was starting to adapt similar video game technology to shoot that film. And since then, we've seen it kind of expand. So from where you started to where you are now, how much has the technology grown and become easier to use for you guys as actors?
I think there is great technology out there now. Different systems, like when you watch the BTS of like the Marvel movies, when they have $300 million to blow through, I think they might have slightly better systems where it's less imposing on the actors, less obtrusive and all that stuff. I don't know. Have you seen a huge difference?
So I was going to say, if you ask the actors that have done PCAP for like 20 years, you know, some of the old, like really early on, they would say it's evolved tremendously.
Like Andy Serkis is what we're talking about.
Correct. In the past 10 years, I would agree with Nick. It depends on the studio. Different studios have different setups, equipments in the same place. Like every place you work doesn't have the newest laptop or whatever, but some of them do. But I don't feel, at least in the past 5 to 10 years, that it's changed all that much.
It's still pretty uncomfortable.
Yeah, I've done a few where they're trying to go without the face cams and they're capturing data from further, but it still isn't as detailed then. So they crave that proximity if for like really actor narrative focused games. You know, you want to be able to see the emotion that's happening.
That's incredible. Nick, as a longtime fan of the franchise, when you book the job and you start getting the story of where we're going, what is your first reaction, not as an actor, but as a fan? For like the story and the progression of where everything was.
To me, that's probably the coolest part of doing these, because as a fan, I always, like, growing up, when a new game was announced, I would always speculate with my little brother and just wonder what it's going to be about or how the fighting is going to be and everything. And so then to be privy to all of that as it's happening in real life with a new game, man, that's special. Because and the dev team, Capcom, would always see, like, I was so wide-eyed. They would tell me that they're thinking about doing this, and I was like, really? Wow, that would be cool. And they're like, really? You would like that? And I was like, yeah, that would be awesome. I light up because in my heart, I'm a game dev at heart. I haven't done it, but I do aspire to make like indie games at some point, because I want to create the memories that I grew up with, you know. So I want to create a game that people will sit on a couch together and play, or online, either way, but I'll do that at some point. So that's the coolest part for me.
Well, speaking of that, you talked about early on how the team really liked your input because you were so into the world. Is there anything from the game that was directly your input that you noticed?
I had way more influence on Resident Evil 4 Remake. I think at that point they trusted me. And 2, the cinematic director, he was really good in the way that him and the writer were very flexible, and if something wasn't coming out right, if it didn't feel right with the delivery, they would always say, well, how would you say that line? How would you react in this situation? And they would always take recommendations for me, and we would say it, and a couple of my lines got in the game. But then in 4, I really got along with that director as well, and I got to write a lot of lines in 4 and recommend some cinematic stuff, but working with Steve Kniebly, who we've both worked with, he's a cinematic director for Resident Evil 3 Remake and 4 Remake. Just a great guy,
and Village.
And Village. He's just a visionary guy, and he's so flexible. He just wants to make the project the best it can be, and so he's very collaborative. And so, yeah, I would say more than anything, lines in 4. I got to write a lot of quips and one-liners and stuff. I brought a lot of my personality into Leon.
That's so cool. Like being a fan first and then seeing you get the role and then having an influence on where things are. I think that's pretty awesome. Nicole, for you, coming to something like Fanexpo here in San Francisco, is there anything when you go on the floor that you kind of geek out on and you have to buy?
Oh Oh man, I mean, I like objects in general, so I love going down Artist Alley.
Same.
We love looking at different art and what inspires people. I really love original characters too. I think it's so cool to just see what people are cooking up that
Sure.
could be the next big thing. And recently I've been looking at a lot of dice sets because I'm playing D&D here.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm assuming you've played before?
I have,
Okay.
yes. But you know, there's always like such cool dice sets that make it to the con floors. So I'm a little all over.
I'm with you, I'm
last
with you.
con I got like glitter, and I've been wearing a lot of glitter. So it really just depends on the day.
It looks fantastic. I like it. I dig it. Nick, how about yourself? When you're walking down the aisles, down on the floor, what's something you're going to stop at and you go, you know what? I think I'm going to pick it up. I think I'm going to buy it.
Well, it's the artwork. I'm just such a fan of so many things and games and characters, and I as an artist, I'm blown away by Artist Alley, seeing all the different styles, and these people are so talented. And so I would love to spend like $1,000 every convention and just fill up a whole room with like as a museum of my own fan art that I collect, but I have to stay away from that because I don't have space for it. And I don't even have a room. I have like a pile that's growing. I have nowhere to put the stuff, but I collect it. When I see something I gotta have, it's just artwork all the way.
That's incredible. I love that. Same. I'm the same. I feel like there just isn't enough space in my household to get all these things that I want. Now, for Jill and Leon, with you guys, what part of the character do you think, the evolution of the character, what do you see in yourself through the evolution of that character? Or is there any parts of you within that character?
Yes. In Resident Evil 2 remake, Leon was very naive, and
Nick.
yeah, I had a lot of that back in the day, and as I got older, I kind of grew out of that, and I became a little wiser to the world, and so did Leon in RE4 remake, and so I can relate to that. You know, I was the guy getting like taken advantage of and scammed all the time because I just believed everyone was a good person, kind of like Leon did. And then at 4, it's like, oh, this shit again. All right, yeah, I know who you are. It's like kind of like that attitude shift. I can relate.
I love that. How about yourself?
I mean, I would love to believe that I have even an ounce of her resilience and strength. The ability to just keep getting back up is something that I think all actors need at some level. We live in an industry with a lot of no's, even though you pour your heart and soul into something. So yeah, I think it's some of that like resilience, and then honestly, in her kind of like evolution into the remake, I really love some of her humor. She's got a little more sarcasm kind of sprinkled in there, and I certainly enjoy that.
I would trust you in a zombie apocalypse. I would have you on my survivor team.
I got you.
All right, let's talk about the zombie apocalypse since we're opening that can of worms. Do either of you have a specific strategy in order to survive said zombie apocalypse? Now, we gotta preface this though, because I'm assuming the zombies I would choose are the slow-moving zombies, because I think those are the OG ones. The fast ones is too much for me. I'd be dead immediately. So for you guys, is there a zombie survival plan that you guys have, or a tip?
Yes, you need a lot of decoys.
This is a man that's been thinking about this for a while.
I see a couple people in the audience, they could be good decoys. Well,
Love it.
I'm just kidding.
Shots fired. I mean, you gotta have a shotgun, clearly. Gotta have a boomstick.
Yes, boomstick.
Boomstick is the way. They're always like, what's your favorite? It's the boomstick.
So, outside of the weapons though, do you guys have a place you would go, people you'd round up, or are you just
Yeah, we're in Los Angeles, so we gotta get out.
I'm in Los Angeles.
We gotta get not in LA. Admittedly, I married a wonderful man who totally was like, hey, I don't want to be weird, but I do have a bug out bag. And I was like, all right, honey, sounds good. So we got a bug out bag, which is just like survival, you know. I have the book with the herbs. I'm like, great, green, blue, red. That's all I need to know. I'll be fine.
I think living in LA though, it's designed for us to be killed.
Oh, we're going down.
And we're one of the first cities for sure. But I do have a plan. I think I would go to Catalina.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
You think you'd go for like islands?
First of all, you can eat the food that's the livestock that's
The
there.
buffalo.
The buffalo.
Roaming Catalina.
You can do that, all that, but it's also not a heavily populated island.
That's true, but like if it goes bad,
Well, you're
you
stuck
got
there. You just
nowhere
got
to
to
go.
be king of the mountain. Hopefully, you can take it over or create
You've
a
thought
community.
about this.
Thought about it a little bit.
I'm going to Hawaii.
Hawaii's not a bad idea. It's just going to take forever to get there.
Is that right?
You take
It's
a little,
like, I'm just
take a
gonna
little
go-
dinghy boat.
Yes.
Just start. Yeah, just may as well start rowing now. All right, back to Resident Evil though. I do have a couple more questions to ask you guys. So I think that Resident Evil lends itself so well. I mean, look, these video game consoles are evolving so much now. I feel that like it's only a matter of time until we all have these VR headsets at home. Like everybody's gonna have these VR headsets, probably playing. It's gonna be like Sword Art Online if anybody's watching that anime. But I think that horror games lend themselves really well to the VR experience because jump scares are going to be a very individual experience for each kind of player. Where do you see horror video games moving as our technology kind of evolves?
All right, I have a really good answer for this. Has anyone, do you guys know what AR is? Okay. I hope that they mix VR and AR in experiences like live action experiences. They have some of these now. You go to like Mind Trek and some other, I forget what they call them, but the VR things where you put the helmet on, you go in, they give you like a fake gun and you have these experiences where you shoot like aliens or robots and stuff. That's cool. But I think if they were to build like an actual set like that you'd go through, like as big as this room with different things you gotta go through, and they literally have like I don't know if you call it like scare actors, but we'll call them actors in that space, either there or acting off camera, and they put them in with VR so you can blow them up with whatever you have. And so your AR shows the damage that you're doing, but you're also seeing the live like environment that you're in. Can you imagine that? If I had $500 million, I would fund it and do it and just create it, and it would be the first of its kind. And I hope they do that for like the adrenaline junkies like myself.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I actually feel like that is a genius idea for a handful of reasons, not just on the video game side, but also like, we just finished Halloween and there's always these, when I was a kid, there was always these haunted houses that would pop up. You're in LA, you know, we have the Hollywood Hayride, right? So I feel like you would save so much money though doing this kind of like that with scare actors. I mean, it would be a lot of investment up front, but it's something that you can kind of keep feeding, you know what I mean?
I think it would be a very specialized thing because the magic behind that is unlike the VR where they just throw robots at you and if you shoot them, it's like laser tag in VR, but they don't interact with you. And what I'm saying is if you get really good physical actors to play the bad guys, they can talk shit to you and like actually like call you out.
In real time.
In real time. It's involved. I'm just saying it hasn't been done yet.
I know, this is like, the show Westworld. I feel like this is how Westworld starts.
Yes.
It is how Westworld starts.
Right? This is how Westworld starts.
Totally.
Nick, you're onto something. I'm gonna be your first investor.
I think his answer would be way better than mine. I'm such a like narrative.
What was let's hear your idea.
No, I mean, as far as the future goes, there's just so many different kinds of experiences when it comes to horror, and so many different energies within horror based on what people crave. I'm someone who definitely loves that kind of like cinematic feel. So I love that a lot of games more and more feel like movies in some ways, and that line blurs in realism. So in the same way, like just seeing cool ways that actors could be involved and pulling you more into the experience is pretty neat. So I'm gonna piggyback off of Nick.
I think that's a fantastic answer. So I feel that like your horror experience is way more of a communal experience of the theater goers that would always get together and watch movies together.
I just love, I love connection.
Sure.
Between people. Sometimes gaming can be isolating, but I actually feel like Resident Evil, to me, most of the fans that I meet Nick. Like, it's a very connective community. It's a lot of parents and children, siblings, like people that are playing and investing together. There's something about horror that makes people go, well, we gotta do it together.
Sure.
So that kind of energy of connection, definitely as an actor, it's like, I don't want to act against a piece of tape. I would much rather look into someone's eyes, because my nervous system and my humanity is so much more available looking at someone
Sure.
than, you know, a computer screen, or even just, you know, something that's a little, you know, it's, I love that energy, which kind of ties into what Nick said.
Now, when you guys are shooting these Resident Evils, how far in advance are you guys getting scripts, and how long is that shooting process?
Shooting process is usually years, because they'll write and rewrite. I didn't find that I got scripts very far in advance.
You got them very
I did
Oh,
not.
did not get them very far in advance.
And then, unlike film, where it's like, here's the script, beginning to end, when I was shooting Resident Evil stuff, it was a lot of like, all right, here's 4 scenes we're gonna shoot this time. And I'd be like, cool. Where are these happening? What is where in the, like, so it's a lot of kind of decoding where in the story you are. And you do a lot of relying on the people around you to make sure you're like, in check and locked in, because someone has an overarching vision, but there isn't like a full, you know, script that I get beginning to end to tell me what the game's gonna look like.
So it's like a mosaic. You're getting it piece by piece, and you're kind of puzzling it, piecing it together. On
Very
your own.
much.
Interesting. That's fascinating. Nick, for you being a hardcore fan, did you get the whole like pitch up front of where the character's trajectory is going to go?
Usually what Capcom has done is they give like an arc of like a PDF with character relationships, generally where they have to go. It is very loose, and like Nicole said, these games take like 18 months to 2 years to film off and on. You'll have big breaks in between sessions of shoots and everything, and things change, and you might film a bunch of stuff, and then when you come back again and reconvene, they have scrapped everything, and they're like, now we're gonna try that again and change up the story here for whatever reason. And you don't really get the scripts. You don't get a full script like a movie script that you've seen. It's not like that. You get little snippets here and there, and they might be all spread out, and so you do rely on the director and the producers to tell you exactly as much context as they can tell you for like what this scene means. When you say this line to that guy, this is what it references, and so on and so forth.
Sometimes mechanics will change too, so like we'll shoot something and then the game devs will get in there and be working on the level, and they'll change a mechanic or decide that something else works better or is more fun or whatever, and then it'll have to change what we then did, so then we'll go back and reshoot. On Village, I had a couple just with Elena in the very beginning, who dies very early, but like we shot a couple of her scenes several times because they ended up like changing some mechanics that then influenced what was happening in the cinematic.
I feel like there has to be this difficulty, though, of this mosaic approach a little bit, because, Nicole, I want to ask you, can you talk about that emotional continuity that you kind of have if you're not necessarily shooting the exact scene that's following up the previous scene from it? You know what I mean? Like, can you talk about the challenge of accessing that emotional continuity?
Sure. I mean, it's not that different from film.
Sure.
Because back to kind of marriage of theater and film. You'll do long takes, but just like in a film, we're gonna shoot every scene that happens in this location, even if this location happens in, you know, the beginning, the middle, and the end. Father's alive, father's dead, and now, okay, let's move on to scene 2, you're meeting for the first time, even though we just filmed, you know, the breakup. You know, like
Right.
that kind of thing is very ingrained in what we do, so.
But the benefit with film, though, is that you get the whole
You
script.
actually have the whole script, so you know where you are.
Yeah, sometimes you'll get a scene in a video game where you have no idea what happened for 5 hours of gameplay before that point. And you might not even film that stuff until a year from now. So you have to kind of keep like mental track also of your performance, where you were, what you think that meant to you. It's a little bit harder to keep track.
Very much. I find for myself, I do a lot of asking because I rely heavily on the people around because someone will know something, or at least to be willing to make the decision that goes, great, and if it doesn't work, we'll come back to it. So I do a lot of like, hey, like, where are we at? You know, what are the stakes here? Definitely in Resident Evil, everyone's stakes tend to be pretty darn high most of the time. So that's helpful. And as far as like achieving an emotional state, I would say that's technique. That's go to acting class. That's the work on, okay, hey, you gotta do 6 takes of someone getting shot in front of you. What does that mean? How do you get there? How do you keep your humanity and still deliver 6 times?
That's crazy. Nick, for you, being a longtime fan, I'm sure you have a lot of fans that come up to you and share their experience about Resident Evil to you. But has any of those experiences kind of changed your perspective on Leon or some of the characters within the series?
I would just say that until I started meeting you guys at all these shows, I didn't realize fully the impact that these games have on a lot of people, whether it's a horror game or really any IP that's represented here. Movies, you know, people get attached to characters and stories, and we've been told some like really heartwarming stories of the inspiration that it has lended to you guys, and you know, gotten through some dark times, and I can relate to that now because even during the pandemic, I went through my own dark spells, and it was my friends who kept me in a good headspace. I was playing Call of Duty with them and Rocket League every day. So I get it, you know, it's about connection at the end of the day, and a lot of people bond with these horror games. They bond with their friends because they got to survive through it together. So that was the coolest thing that I've come to learn in the past couple of years. It's really special to know that.
Well, we do have some pre-submitted fan questions for you guys that I'm going to get to. Now,
Special papers, special papers.
all right, this one is from Amber from San Jose. She asks, both of you took on characters with decades of history and passionate fan bases. What was your approach to honoring the legacy while bringing your own interpretation of Jill and Leon?
I did my research, right? And I wanted to honor the essence of the character. And then I let it all go and relied heavily on the people around me to go, hey, here's my understanding with the given circumstances of what I would do based on what I know. And I picked up Jill post-mansion incident. So I picked up Jill with PTSD, already experienced, already over it at some level. So yeah, backstory very helpful, but then just a lot of trusting the people around me, because favorite thing about games, everyone on set is a fan and wants to be there. Like, people love working on PCAP stages and making video games, and they're all people who are really invested, so you can trust who's around you.
You can see that passion through some of these games. Like every single pixel, I guess, is on point. But how about for yourself? What was your approach to honoring that legacy that came before you?
Well, I will just second what Nicole just said. So everything she just said, yes, that. And also, I thought as a longtime fan, I had a responsibility to also just share my like in real time feedback with the team and give suggestions, because they did ask me. They asked me many times what I wanted to see in a new Resident Evil, what I liked about past games, what I didn't like, game mechanics, story-wise, everything. So I told them everything. I researched, I gave them video references, and I sat there and talked with them. So I thought that was the best thing that I could do.
You know, Nick, I know that you're a big fan. So Resident Evil might be going through a bit of a resurgence cinematically. So as a hardcore fan, what is something they need to get right in order for it to be a good Resident Evil story to you?
I was always a fan of where it came from, the roots of survival horror. I thought that was brilliant back in the day, back in the late 90s, where like finding a case of shotgun shells that would put a smile on your face, and it would, like, you could breathe a sigh of relief because now I've got 4 extra shells to put down some big baddie. But like that, the limited resources, I'm just always been a big fan of that. And so when they came out with Resident Evil 7 and kind of, they went back from like this, the action direction and went back to survival horror, went back to the beginning, I was blown away by 7. I love that game for what it is, and it's claustrophobic again, you know. So I've always liked that part of the formula.
Now we have Rainey from Arizona. Rainey asks, Leon has evolved from rookie cop to seasoned agent across multiple games. How did you adjust your performance to show that the character, that character's growth while maintaining his core personality?
Going back to the attitude shift from being the naive rookie to the seasoned agent, it was more just about an attitude shift. I didn't change the voice all that much, just a little bit. It was more the attitude that he's seen the shit before, he's got to deal with it, and he's sick of taking shit from all the big bad villains. And it was a really fun tonal shift to play with because Resident Evil 4 is much more of an 80s action movie, and I got to play out my dream of being like an 80s action cowboy guy. And so they let me do it, and I said, great, let's kick ass.
This one is from Daniel from the South Bay. Daniel asks, what is it like working on a remake of such a beloved game? Do you feel pressure to match fan expectation, or were you encouraged to make the characters your own?
That second one. I mean, we always, of course, want, you know, I know Nick even more, like, oof, wants the fans to love it, but once you're on a stage and in a scene, that is the least helpful thing you could possibly do for the characters, you know? Sitting there thinking about what hundreds of thousands of other people might think about what's happening is a great way to not be present. So yeah, you just do, like I say, I go back to like trusting the village that makes it happen, and then you put it out into the world and it is no longer yours, and you're celebrating with everyone else that's excited when the game releases, because you also are like, this will be my first time really seeing the whole picture.
That's amazing.
Once again, I second that. Great answer, Nicole, but I will add one thing. The only thing I was thinking about, especially in, I would say, 4 Remake, was there were so many scenarios where I would ask myself, if you were just playing this game, what would make you go, that was fucking cool? And that's where I was coming from. Not just the character, but like any little like Easter eggs I could have thrown in, like from the original or my version of the character. Just any little things I could throw in there and pepper in there, whether it was like a line change or a delivery or a callback to something. And so that was in the back of my mind because, again, as a fan, I know what's cool for me, you know?
Where's everybody going? Bingo?
Checkers.
This is going to be the last question. I think we're almost out of time. This is from Travis from San Jose. Nicole, the relationship between Jill and Nemesis is so personal and terrifying. How do you voice act against such a relentless, iconic monster?
Having Neil Newbon on the PCAP stage is a great start. He is an icon and fantastic and a wonderful scene partner and a wonderful friend. And so he did a tremendous amount of the Nemesis work. And so definitely while Nemesis was still in a somewhat humanoid form, I had a lot of working against Neil's physicality. Once Nemesis becomes less humanoid-y, there is a lot of like, no, sorry, explain to me, what does he look like? Okay, where's my eyeline? Okay, great. And like the mocap magic starts to happen as you're trying to like visualize with concept art what is fully gonna be embodied in the space. So as it nears the end, that kind of changes. So a lot of like benefit of a fantastic scene partner, and then a lot of imagination and just raising the stakes.
I love that. I love that. Well, look, if you guys had any questions for them, they're going to be at their booth. I'm assuming all 3 days?
Yes.
This is Friday, right? So come check them out. Come say hi, ask your questions. But thank you guys so much for joining us today. You guys are awesome. Thanks, Nicole.
Thanks, guys.